Hello everybody, I'm Carlos. Here's to a brand new episode. I'm babifly, and today we're playing Heart of the Forest in the Werewolf of the Apocalypse universe by Different Tales Games. It's a really great narrative game. In this game you play as a werewolf. Preferably speaking, you're actually playing as a young American girl who visits a forest in Poland, nearby a village in Poland, and you try to find your roots because your family is supposed to be from there. So through the entire story, we've came to terms with our own nature, and we've understood that we are some sort of a werewolf, a warrior of Gaia, and we actually try to defend the earth and the environment against its aggressors. So I won't spoil anything else. If you really want to see the details and learn more things about the game, you can watch the previous videos, because today we're on video 4. Let's step right into it. The game's visuals are great, the game's sound is fantastic, the story is phenomenally good, and the fact that you get to build your character as you progress, it's an A+ for me. It's quite relaxed and quite nice. It's a fantastic experience with lots of replayability from what I see. So, loose ends. I woke up in my bed in the B&B and for a moment thought the whole werewolf business had been a dream. Then I heard a giggle, looked up and saw Anya looking at me with a grin. "Girl, you sure know how to party. You were gone for 2 days." She shook her head. "Was Bartek with you? He's not returning my calls." We've actually killed Bartek, right? "And what was with you sneaking in through the window in the middle of the night naked?" She raised her eyebrow. "I did some crazy things back home, but I've never partied that hard." "Yeah, I got startled by the stray dog on my way back, panicked, shapeshifted, and ruined my clothes again." There was so much to talk about. I didn't know where to start. How was I? "I'm alright, sorry for disappearing so suddenly," I said, because what else could I say? The naked stand was just there. I lied without even blinking. I got kinda carried away, and then it was too late to back out. I hoped that would take Anya's mind off the other stuff. To my surprise, it worked. She just shook her head and didn't press for more details. What about Bartek? How should I handle the Bartek thing? I couldn't tell her that he was dead, that I'd killed him. "I don't really know where Bartek is right now," I said, my voice trembling a bit. Anya looked at me like she'd sensed something was wrong. I bit my lip not to cry. "I'm sorry," I said, fighting back with the tears. "How are you feeling?" "I'm worried," Anya started sobbing. "I really like him and he ghosted me." I comforted her. "It'll be alright," I hugged her. "Let's just wait and see what happens. Give it time." She nodded and tried to smile, and I felt a part of me changing forever. I wanted to tell her everything, but you shouldn't. I packed my bag in silence. I felt a rift growing between me and Anya, who happens to be loyal now, and I felt a sudden urge to tell her everything. I told her something she could understand. If you give some sort of proof, if you give some sort of an explanation related to the truth, then I think that you get a much lighter version of a story that one can bear. I couldn't tell her the truth. I was a guru and I had a sacred duty to protect the veil hiding us from the mortal eyes. But I could tell her something. I learned something important about myself, I said, and I have to follow it for a while. Sorry for the sudden change of plan. I sighed and continued packing. "So are you leaving?" asked Anya. "What about your family history?" I didn't know how to answer. I shrugged. Whatever the answer was, it was now Maia, the werewolf's problem. Maia, the student, was dead. "I'll be in touch." Anya hugged me. "You'll figure it out." I sighed, took my bag, and left. I'm so sorry, dear Anya, but it's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. Once you go werewolf, you can't go back. Everything according to plan. I dropped my bags in the camp and ran through the plan one more time. They expected me to act like in a room, but Kim had proposed another plan, one less dangerous. It's either a rune war and explosives or Galliard stories and propaganda. So Galliards are supposed to be the lore masters and the bards of the werewolves. They are the ones actually performing the howlings, the ceremonial howlings in the moon, and the ones that actually coordinate everything when it comes to ceremonies and stuff. I'm not 100% proficient in that, how to explain what the Galliard is, but that's what I got from the game that I played way back then. So let's go. Let's follow our auspice. Let's go with a rune, war and explosives. Let's go in town. Let's mess everything up, right? Olga and Lisa arranged the meeting. They were pretty vague about who the people were. Lisa said something about Tonbas and freedom fighters. The men had what we needed. Okay, let's stop the logging by force, people. To end the logging with a bang, we needed explosives, and these men could supply them. After a few days of exchanging coded messages, we were ready to meet. Keep talking and nobody explodes. We drove to the outskirts of the village. There was a farm that was supposedly deserted, and yet I could sense someone's presence. Listen to my orders, barked Olga, and don't fuck it up. Got it. I was calm. Everything was under control, even though my rage was 5, right? Olga nodded with approval. I felt blood singing in my veins, and I couldn't wait for some action. The abandoned farm was dark and quiet under the stars. I wondered for a moment if we should barge right in or risk taking a look around. Was it a good moment to change, or should I proceed as a human? I should change. I should say in Hispo. I was Hispo, the monstrous wolf form. My spine cracked and twisted, my knees and ankles broke, and I fell on the ground. My jaw shattered and rearranged itself. My skin was rippling and sprouting fur. I howled. When I rose, I was more than a wolf, scary and monstrous, with strong paws, mighty jaws, and a mane of fur. I had a quick look around. I nudged Olga's leg and pointed my nose to the yard. The descriptions are fantastic. Just imagine what the text would have written if I had changed to a different form. It's just so elegantly done. I nudged Olga's leg and pointed my nose to the yard. She nodded. Join me inside when you're done. The night exploded with smells and sounds. I roamed around the farm. Don't want to lose time. Behind the barn there was a car. I realized the men had guns. Their cold metallic smell was almost covered by the stench of unwashed male bodies. Is there a strange smell? Let's see. Suddenly I found a strange synthetic aroma that must have been the stuff we'd come for. The smell led to the house. I went back. Olga's voice was clear. What do you mean you don't have it? She was in trouble. It was Krinos time. I let my rage guide me. Whoa, there you have it. Pain hits me like a wrecking ball. Every bone in my body breaks and moves and resets. I roar in agony. Panting and growling, I rise and rise and rise. I'm an 8-foot tall killing machine. Someone grabs me. They reek of the worm. I disarm him. I push myself away from his grasp and pull the gun he's brandishing. He crumbles to the ground, his arm still in my hand. Screams. They reach for their guns. I roar. I don't want to lose willpower right now. I roar and get their attention. They start shooting, but I'm prepared and dodge the bullets. Then Olga appears and rips them to shreds. I join her. More glory, yeah. Aha. I join her, and a few heartbeats later, it's over. I was Omi, the human form. My body reset itself to the familiar shape. Bones broke and fused again. Muscles and sinews moved under my skin. I cried and thrashed. Then I was human again, with keen eyes, nimble fingers, and a silver tongue. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Let's get out of here, Olga yelled, and she was right. We had to move. The farm was on fire. I grabbed the bag. I grabbed the blue canvas bag, slipped on a pool of blood, and almost fell. We had to run. Let's make a break for it. We jumped into the car and drove off. Shit, shouted Olga, seeing the blue lights of police cars, who are unfriendly now, in the distance. She made a hard right, drove into the woods, and turned off the lights. There's a shortcut, she said. Hold on. I looked into the night, lost in thought. I felt like a spectator of my own life. We blew up the harvesters, which is a good thing. How had I ended up here? I didn't want any of this, and yet there I was, a werewolf, a Gaia's warrior, with a bag full of explosives. So we got the explosives we needed. A moment of triumph. I couldn't wait for the set meeting that morning. Getting the explosives was my rite of passage, and I knew that I did great. I couldn't believe that I made it so far. We met soon after the sunrise, on the same clearing where I woke up for the first time as a guru. Lisa looked at us all and smiled. Our patrons were looking at her expectantly, so she stepped towards the center of the clearing. I'm the third of this sept, and I'm here to make sure we do things the right way. Ah, that's who Lisa is. I think that Lisa the bone knower, the werewolf that live in the cities and scrounge from the scavengers, scrounge from the garbage and no, I don't know. So third, those born under the crescent moon are mystics and seers, dealing with spirits, interpreting visions and omens. I held my breath. She turned to me and I held my breath. Maia, come forth. Are you a cub who seeks recognition as an adult? I answered. I am, I answered solemnly. I should respect these rights. Are you an applicant to a tribe? Lisa asked again. I confirmed. I am, I answered. Who speaks for the cub? Lisa looked at her septmates. I do, Olga stepped forward. I'm Kestrel of the Black Furies, a rune of the Morning Wolf Mother pack. I observed the cub on her mission, and I'm here to tell the story. Would I have to take a new name? Secret names, cool. I don't want to stop anything. I wondered if they all had cool secret names. They probably had. I loved the ancient spiritual vibe of it all. Has the cub passed her challenge? Asked Lisa. I held my breath. I knew how it all happened, but I held my breath nevertheless. She succeeded, was the answer. The challenge was hard, and she overcame it. Lisa turned to me. Have you chosen your name? Lisa turned to me. My new secret name. Suddenly I remembered my grandfather talking about his old friends. He never used their real names. They were always Thunder or Grey or Needle. I'd always thought it was a guerrilla thing, some kind of war names. Now I wasn't so sure anymore. How to capture my whole life, my aspirations, my personality, my heritage in one name. I cleared my throat. Mist, a name with more than one meaning. Burza, which was Polish for storm. Pine, a tree in the forest. Enigma, a mystery. I would say mist because it has more than one meaning, and then again we're not that kind. We're both diplomatic, and yet we can't control our rage sometimes. So I think that having a much more diverse meaning in our name is better. So mist. Maia Mist Borodich. My new name is Mist. I answered, thinking of fog and one of the Valkyries from Norse legends. As for the tribe, do we have to choose or do we get assigned one? Choosing the tribe was another matter. Okay, so it's either Black Fury, Child of Gaia, Glasswalker, and Bone Knower. And to be honest with you, we didn't listen anything about the Black Furies and the Child of Gaia's, so I'm gonna give you a brief explanation of what each one is. So the Black Furies actually originate from the Amazons of Greece, and they are a tribe of female werewolves who actually look down on males, and their whole society is based on the matriarchy. They are warriors. They they get what they want, and more often than not, they go to war for it. They don't think twice. They never think twice, and they seldomly use the diplomatic approach when it comes to brawn and fury, as you understand. They do accept some males in their tribes, but only as only for reproductive purposes. So basically, I don't know if I feel that Maia is a black fury. I haven't played as such, so I don't think I will go with that. Then the Child of Gaias are the eco-friendly werewolves of the kind. So basically, every werewolf is actually a fighter for the earth, but the children of Gaia are the ones who are more attuned to the spirit of Gaia herself. They are they are not only the protectors but the caretakers of Earth, if that actually makes sense. Um, they are they see they see the bigger picture, and sometimes they do things just to in favor of nature herself, not just for a brief gain or anything. They they are the ones who actually remind to the rest of the werewolf tribes that their goal is the original one. So the glasswalkers, you know them. They are the modern people. They are the werewolves that use the weaver to actually purge the worm. So they use technology and the approaches of culture to actually um, combat evil in the cities. And I don't feel as such again. Well, about the bone knowers, they are the scroungers, the garbage scroungers that I told you, but it's their humble origins and the way that they adapt to life makes them actually quite coveted as a tribe. All the rest of the tribes look down on them, but then again, do you know what? I think that I'm gonna go for a Child of Gaia because I feel as such. I feel as if I'm playing that. Uh, do you remember when we were about to resort to violence? I wanted the diplomatic approach. I wanted the the logging to stop because I saw the bigger picture. But then again, I didn't back down when it came to actually fighting or anything. So I think I want to go for the Child of Gaia. Yes. It's the first time that I actually play as a Child of Gaia, to be honest with you. After getting to know both Olga and Cornel better, I decided to join the Children of Gaia. So, a tribe that believes in peace with humans and that rage is a taint of the worm, not the righteous fury of Gaia, hated by the other tribes for their reluctance to use violence and their celebration of pacifist human philosophies. Okay, so my rage actually proves that I want to go that way. So I will always try to reduce my rage when we're talking, but then again, I don't know how much we have left, so I will roleplay as such. Cornel agreed to mentor me. Only one thing remained to end the ceremony and make me a full-fledged guru. I had to join a pack. I had already sworn to the Wolf Mother. As my fate had been already tied with the Wolf Mother, I chose her as my patron and joined Olga's pack. Yes, yeah. And so it was done. According to ancient rites, Lisa painted the mystical glyph of my tribe on my sternum. It disappeared after a moment, but whenever I closed my eyes, I could feel its warm touch between my breasts. Mist of the Children of Gaia, a rune of the Morning Wolf Mother pack. Welcome to our sept, she said solemnly. Then she howled. That primal mystical feeling of this game is gets me so connected with what I read here, and the visuals and the audio, everything actually makes me get immersed in harmony with the entire game. So owls rose toward the sky. They sang about ancient laws of war, status, and secrecy. I remembered only a few. Combat the worm wherever it dwells and whenever it breeds. Submit to those of higher station. Respect those beneath you. The veil should not be lifted. I joined the song. Make your own legend. Cool. Rank Clieth. I threw my head back and howled with my sept. I was a cub no more. I was ready to tell my own stories, to earn my own place in the pack, to howl my own songs. Okay, so let's see. Rank Clieth, a young guru, not yet of any significant rank. We're children of Gaia, cool. The pack is of the morning wolf mother. We are in a rune. Everything's great. So we don't have a wisdom at all right now, but our glory and honor has increased dramatically. Blow up the heart, yeah. The identity are in glory, yeah. Winter Weasel is cautious, because Morning Wolf is loyal now. Anya is loyal, yeah. Cool, and the police are unfriendly. Let's see. I really don't want the game to end. I really don't want... I certainly feel as if we're beginning right now. I don't want it to end. To you developers who are hearing me, please come up with more titles of this game, with more sequels. Allow me to actually import my character from here to the next story. Please, let me do this, because I really love it. It's such a fantastic game. It's such a fantastic take on the narrative and the setting of Rage the Apocalypse. Please do so. Start the chapter. Dust to dust. It was one of those blistering summer days when the asphalt melts, the grass withers, and the air smothers those brave enough to step outside. Despite the heat, it felt like the whole village was at the funeral. It was moving. I stood there surrounded by people weeping over their loss, looking at the rosaries they clutched in their fists. Something tightened in my chest. For a brief chilling moment I thought I saw Bartek's face among the crowd. But no, I buried him in the barrows myself, and nobody there even knew that he was dead. It was someone else's funeral. Bartek was not the reason we gathered in the churchyard. The body of a hunter had been found in the forest. The circumstances of their death were unclear. There had been more deaths over the last days, but they slipped under the radar. We'd been careful in covering our tracks, or nobody had connected the dots yet. It was the hidden side of a warrior's glory, funerals and families waiting for people who'd never come back home. I could feel the tension seething around me. This death, this funeral, had pushed the community, already weary and frightened by the recent disappearances in the forest, to the edge. The world was watching. The press had swarmed to the funeral like flies. I could hear them squawking about eco-terrorism and aggressive vegan activists. The police had cordoned off the funeral and were aggressively searching and detaining any activists they noticed. It had become political. Not good. Suddenly, Puszcza Białowieska had become politically charged and the hottest place to be in Poland. And it wasn't the only local politicians and activists from both sides who'd caught wind of the commotion. The Minister of Environment himself had driven to Białowieska to attend the funeral. He was standing next to the priest conducting the ceremony, surrounded by police and what looked like a handful of bodyguards. The coffin went down and the crowd stirred. Everyone started lining up to throw a handful of dust on the coffin or put flowers on the grave. I found myself face to face with Anya. I got swept by the crowd and found myself face to face with her. Everyone keeps pretending that he's just missing, but I know that Bartek is dead. She looked me in the eyes. He was such a cute guy, you know? I froze. It must be hard for you too, she patted my arm. If you ever want to talk, you know where to find me. I said my condolences. Losing her willpower? I really want to act humane and human. I'm really sorry for your loss, I said from the bottom of my heart. I wish things could be different. Anya shook her head. One more thing. I know you think you're helping, but you have ever asked anyone what they need? But have you ever asked anyone what they need? I looked over her shoulder at the crowd. It was clear that many people there felt that we were not helping, on the contrary, and the minister knew how to use that sentiment. I listened in disbelief. Okay, this is when the shit hits the fan. I watched in disbelief as the priest handed him the mic. He wasn't someone you'd call a good speaker. He spoke furiously about how wood was important for the local economy and how evil forces from abroad were leading innocent Polish youth into temptation. Judging by the applause, it was exactly what the crowd wanted to hear. It was also our doing. But he was trying to escalate. So I know that rage is not important. Rage is attained in our hearts because we are the children of Gaia and we don't accept it. But should we feel remorse about that? Yes, let's feel remorse for now. It was also our doing. I realized the conflict was only going to escalate, and in a big part it was our doing. But it was too late to back down. We were waging a war against overwhelming forces, and the explosives would come in handy. We were ready to strike. Big bad wolves. It was high noon, the sun was at its most merciless, and the world was almost white with heat. The air smelled of herb, bark, and tree sap. Insects buzzed lazily in the high grass, stunned by the summer sun. We were ready for war. We lounged in the shadows of the trees, resting after a busy night. We were ready for war. I rested. I looked at the sky, listening to the whisper of the trees and enjoying the last moments of peace. I dozed off. I slept. As I slept, the protest slowly gained momentum. There weren't so many of us, but everyone in the clearing knew why they were there. There was an equally big crowd against us. Local citizens, hunters, and loggers with banners reading "Foresters save trees from woodworm" and "Forestry equals jobs." There was a priest with a megaphone and his parishioners. "Fill the earth and subdue it," their sign declared. I spotted a group of bold, muscular young men dressed in black, the white pride and great pollen. Variety, drawn there by the smell of blood. The Puszcza was watching us. The Puszcza was watching us. Every time a gust of wind was bringing the wet smell of the forest to my nostrils, I felt her strong, steadfast presence. She knew that we were doing everything in our power to save her. I thought about my family. For centuries, my family served the Puszcza, protecting her and hunting down her enemies. And now I was the last guru of my lineage. What legacy did I want to leave behind? I looked at the harvesters. I looked at the shiny new harvesters lurking across the clearing. Loggers milled around them like ants over a disturbed anthill. I thought about the explosives. They had no idea about the explosives we'd planted on the machines. They were enough to destroy the harvesters. We'd set them to destroy the harvesters, hopefully without any casualties. The detonator rested heavily in my pocket. The pressure was almost palpable, and tempers were flaring. I looked at my pack. "Everyone knows what to do?" Olga asked, looking at my pack. "I'll keep the security guards occupied," nodded Lisa. "And I'll guard the Puszcza's perimeter," growled Daniel. I glanced at the Weasels. The Weasels were in their positions among the protesters as agreed. That left the cops to me. Oh God. It wasn't too late to negotiate. Let's go that way. I think that we should keep talking, I said. It's not too late for a peaceful solution. That's not the plan, Olga reminded me with a predatory smile. Deal with the cops and then we burn the harvesters. The cops were gathering. I only lost status with Olga. The cops were gathering in increasing numbers, and I noticed some SWAT teams joining them. Even the local hunting club was there, brandishing their rifles. Something was up. It was apparent that they were waiting for something. Then it reached boiling point, so no. There's no time for diplomacy, I'm afraid. When the minister arrived for a photo op, we could use that. I took it as a good sign. We could use his presence to our advantage in more ways than one. I calmed down slightly. Journalists swarmed around him, praising his balanced forestry policy as they steered clear of the ugly harvesters. In hindsight, you could argue that what happened next set a chain of events in motion that had life-changing consequences for many. But at that moment, I didn't know that. I was too overwhelmed to even think about the consequences. There were too many people around me, too many unknowns, too much at stake. The members of my sept had already moved to their positions, and I also had my part to play. I gave the last speech. Yes, I'm sorry for doing this, I don't want to. I jumped on a tree trunk, turned on the megaphone, and shouted our message for the last time. Save the forest, stop the logging. There were cheers, and I saw the police take a few steps back, and then someone threw a Molotov cocktail at the harvesters from behind me. Flames engulfed the machine, and before they died down, a barrage of flaming bottles and stones followed. The final battle. When the real fight began, the adrenaline kicked in and the world split into freeze flames. I changed, of course, into Kudos. Let's go to war. But I have zero rage, right? I spasm at my bones grow and reset. Claws break out from my fingers and fangs sprout in my mouth. I taste blood. I roar in pain as muscles move under my skin. I grow. I'm an 8-foot-tall killing machine. And I charge at the loggers. I see a young man in work overalls staring at me with a terrified expression, an axe raised in his hands. What? My rage burns out and I change back. I was Hamid, the human form. So if my rage is not enough, then I get back to my original form. I didn't know that. Okay, I was Hamid with keen eyes, nimble fingers and a silver tongue, a wolf in sheep's clothing. I stumbled, confused. I overpowered him, yet I lost 1 health. We struggled and I quickly overpowered him. It was only when I stood up that I noticed the blood running down my side. Should I try to change again? Into, well, not into werewolf form, but into wolf. Just to escape the cops, I changed. Let's change into wolf. Smart, fast, heavy. No, let's go to Hispo. I was Hispo with strong paws, mighty jaws, and a mane of fur, more than wolf, scary and monstrous. The cops were coming. Cops were running our way, shouting orders, batons raised, faces red with anger. I scared them away, actually. Let's do this. I growled and bared my fangs. It was enough. When I lunged at them, they dropped their batons and ran. So now it's a SWAT team, right? But I still have no rage. I turned and faced the SWAT team, just like that. A SWAT team appeared in full riot gear, their faces grim behind their visors, their guns ready to pepper us with rubber bullets. I stopped them, so this will give me some rage at least. I growled and bared my fangs. I remember the sound of their fear as I dodged their batons and the clouds of pepper spray, but I stood my ground and they stopped advancing. I assessed the situation. Wow, I'm quite good, aren't I? I looked around the battlefield. The situation wasn't looking good. The police were pushing forward and the protesters were retreating. It wouldn't be long before they were cornered, beaten and dragged off. We needed something to turn the tide. I pointed at the retreating minister. A minister? Ah, no, I thought you meant the retreating... minister. Yeah, Minister of Environment, sorry. I thought a different kind of minister, like a chaplain. When all hope of a photo op with a group of happy citizens was lost, the Minister of Environment made a break for his car. He reeked of fear and greed, and I realized he'd almost convinced himself that he was saving the Puszcha, that he was serving his country, that all the checks from lobbyists were just a blessing for all his hard work. Thus, it was time to act. And I was fed up with overthinking it. I was Gaia's rage, and it was time for revenge. So I delivered a message because killing him will actually make us look like terrorists. Well, people have already branded us as terrorists, but I don't want to give in to terrorism. Just killing is not an option, especially when it comes to just, killing somebody. He's supposed to be the figurehead of this whole expedition, but then again, killing him will only make people from his side angrier. So I delivered a message. Let him feel the panic. I started running. The bodyguards raised their guns. The bullets hurt. I was Kudos, the war form. I grow, I roar. I'm an 8-foot tall killing machine. Bullets puncture my body and it hurts, but I don't stop until I reach him. He looks at me drooling and crying for help. I deliver the message. I grab him and feel his bones break. I was Glabro, my near-human form. Yeah, in order to talk, right? My muscles spasmed and rearranged themselves. My jaw cracked and my mouth filled with blood. I clenched my fists and drove into my palms. Panting and whimpering, I changed. I was more than human, wolfy, strong, scary. I looked him straight in the eyes and growled, "Leave the Puscha alone." Before he fainted, I smelled his piss. Suddenly I realized that I'm still bleeding and my wounds aren't healing anymore. There's pain and darkness. Oh, is it the end? Did I die? Well, at least I did my thing, right? Or not? I lay there on the ground, my face buried in the grass. Blood was gushing from my wounds, and the more I tried to use my hands to stop the bleeding, the more it seemed to flow. I coughed blood. I coughed bubbles of blood and air coming from my mouth. Was this it? Was this how it was all going to end? On the grass, in an ancient forest, in a place I'd never seen, among people I didn't really know. My thoughts were slow. I sighed. I remembered the blast, the white light of the explosions, the roar of the French Garou, the battle against the creatures of the worm that we'd destroyed. We'd done it. Yes! We blew up the harvesters, the logging stopped. At least we made it. At least they were as dead as I would be. The forest was safe. What had happened to the others? Is this the end, Maia? I briefly wondered what had happened to the others. Then I closed my eyes. The last breath. Your story is almost over. This might be a good time to take the last look at your character sheet. Okay, so the grass will heal all wounds. It will cover everything, I thought. No matter how high we pile the bodies, if we let her work, no one will remember the carnage. It will grow on my bones and my body will become a mound in the forest. That was my legacy. So let's see what we have achieved right up to this point, people. So it looks like we're gonna die. We are gonna succumb to our wounds. It's late night on the 1st of July. We just lived a week or 9 days as a werewolf, so it's not that bad, but it felt it felt myself personally a bit more liberated, to be honest with you. Well, our name is Maia the Mist Bordich. Our age is 24. Our profession is student. We are American. Our breed is Homid, obviously. Our auspice is Narun, the warrior. Our rank is Kliath. Our tribe is Children of Gaia. Our pack is the Morning Wolf Mother. We've reached 6 glory. We've reached 4 honor. Yet we had 0 wisdom. We've managed to stop the logging. Yes. And our relations were as such. The people loyal to us were the Morning Wolf, our totem animal, Anya, our friend, Cornell, the other Children of Gaia, and then you can see that Bartik is dead, Daniel was cautious, Kim is sympathetic, Lisa is hostile, Olga cautious, Pat sympathetic, and so on and so forth. I didn't know that. My friend from the New York. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know that. I didn't actually. I didn't actually hover over their names to see that. It's the first time that I actually do this. Non-binary Kim, a non-binary activist from Berlin, old with deep wrinkles around the narrow mouth and the grace of a tired heroin preserved rockman. They sported they sported shoulder-length disheveled hair and nails painted bright blue. They were a werewolf. They were known as Rainbow Rat of the No-Knowers, Galliard of the Winter. Yeah, Cornell, an activist from Germany, looking vaguely werewolf. He was known as a blind prophet of the children of Gaia, Philodox, and the leader of the Winter Weasel Pack. All these past tense makes me feel that they died, all of them. Olga's girlfriend, she had a perfect hourglass figure, long braids, and the most stunning cheekbones. Her eyes slightly slanted, were a weird shade of blue, deep, almost purple. One of the Guru, she was known as Zoria of the Siberak, third of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack, born in Russia and of Belarusian Buryat descent. Olga, a local activist, tall with grey dreadlocks, she must have been in her late 40s or early 50s, a werewolf. She was known as Kestrel of the Black Furies, Arun, and the leader of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack. And Pat, a German hacktivist and Cornell's friend, a small young woman dressed in black and with a disheveled, bleached out hair, a werewolf. She was known as Electric Beetle of the Glasswalkers, Ragabash of the Winter Weasel Pack. Okay, and that's it. That was my legacy. But we got full willpower and we died. I learned my family history. There was a fire and there was a village, and there was a generation after generation, their bodies littered throughout the forest, covered with grass and ferns. The warriors who had protected the land and died for it. I was the last, and then our story would come to an end. I heard a voice. Come, child, I heard a voice and felt a warm, wet touch on my cheek. Come. Was it worth it? I rolled on my back and opened my eyes for the last time. The night sky above me was filled with a gigantic wolf made of stars. She had the moon between her eyes. Oh, that's such a magnificent picture. A tear rolled down my cheek. She licked my face again. Come, she said, and I went. So, martyr and old friend, that's it, the end. You have finished Heart of the Forest. Cubs gather around the fire and listen to the story of Maia Borodich, known among the Guru as Mist of the Children of Gaia, Arun of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack. She fought many glorious battles. Maia died fighting for the Pushcha. Remember hearing your songs, because her death was not in vain. The Pushcha was safe, at least for a while. The first protests against the loggings of the Białowieża forest took place in 2016. The game was loosely inspired by those events. All characters and events depicted in the game are entirely fictitious. Wow. That's such a magnificent game, actually, right? I can't believe the way that it was narrated so nice. And I will admit it, I was close to tears at the end. I really felt death coming in and salvation for Maia in the shape of, of the moon and the stars. As the moon and the stars welcomed her, it felt so nice. It was such a nice end, so to say. So, in a sense, we cannot carry on with that character if there ever is a sequel, I guess. But to you developers, please do carry on with that. Please, if you want to, if you like to, you have done a magnificent job in that. My hat is off for you. I salute you. It's such a fantastic piece of art. This is a perfect example where narrative and RPG experience meets the game. And I felt as if everything was crucial for me. The choices were crucial. The things that I invested into were crucial for the entirety of the story. Becoming an Arun and becoming a Children of Gaia was my own choice. Yet the way that I role played in the game actually limited my choices, and it's perfectly fine. You don't want everything to be, just a vast blanket of abbreviations and stuff for you to choose from. We're not building up a character and then we go to play. We're building the character as we play, and progress is your friend and your storyteller as well. So it's a fantastic game. I endorse it 100%, and I really advise you to look to play it as soon as possible. Let's see. Okay, so Werewolf of the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest has been designed and developed by different teams.
След подо мной, это мой, тень мой, Господа, я зверь, что ты, что теперь, тияны, довели, я сам покрыли. Это моя дорога, это мой волчий знак. Я не вернусь до дому, хай застоится так. Это моя дорога, это мой волчий знак. Я не вернусь до дому. Я терпел, я отрывал, я шагу подставлял и возъял по борьбе, большаки только две. Господар не срывал, словно зло отказал. Час пришел, час настал, стал я тем, кем я стал. Это моя дорога, это мой волчий знак. Я не вернусь до дому, хай состоится так. Это моя дорога, это мой волчий знак. Я не вернусь до дому.
So that song was really thematic, was really drew me into it. So it was part of the entire immersive experience. That's what I'm talking about. My hats off for you people, hats off for you developers, you Different Tales, and in Werewolf, for the entire World of Darkness thing. So, but I don't want to steal the thunder from the developers. You did an amazing job, and you people should play this game and should try this game out as soon as possible. The game is highly replayable because different choices lead you to different things, and I'm sure that if I press a new game right now, I'm gonna end up with another character, with a different character than the one that I already had. I guess, just guess, could I become a Ghetto Fenris? The Ghetto Fenris are supposed to be the much more fascist werewolves, but can I be one? Can my actions lead to this choice in the end? I just wonder. So is that game that free-spirited, that open and inviting for all styles of choices in this in this game. I just wonder. So we're not talking about a simple game. We're talking about a how do you call that? We're talking about a really nice diamond among narrative games, and I'm so proud and happy to say this because I've played a lot of such games. I'm so much happy that I've played the game, and let alone that I've shared it with you people. So that's gonna be it. I'm gonna wrap it up for now. I'm still stunned about this entire experience. I won't stop saying that because I really admire, it's really admirable when people actually come out with these results, with games such as these, games such as Heart of the Forest. Thank you very much everyone for watching. If you liked what you saw, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and if you also wish, click on the bell button down below so as to be notified when a brand new video goes online. Thank you very much for your time, and see you next time.